For years, bars have been ripping us off. They charge 5 to 10 times the price for boring-ass drinks, which means that places like this are preying on our crippling alcoholism to make a shitload of money. And that's just disgusting.
Now you might be thinking, Terrence, why don't you do your own drinks yourself? Well, I have a problem with that, is that I can't pour fast enough to keep up with my dying liver. What if there was a machine that could do it all for me? What else? Nope, tastes like shit. So that leaves us only one other possible option. Building it myself. And how do we do that? I obsess over a design, I shit all over it, and then I make a robot 10 times as impressive out of it. Here is the original design.
This is a drink dispenser. You press your glass under it, and it dispenses a dose of alcohol.
Well, you might be thinking it's not too bad. Well, you would be wrong. It sucks ass. It's like pouring the damn drink myself. And want to automate everything, because this doesn't make it faster or easier. So, the logical conclusion is to make a machine that will make the perfect drink every single time. Perfect, but that's a bit too low-tech. And I don't fuck with low-tech. So we're gonna make it an actual robot, because we can't be pulling strings. The government might think I'm onto their game. So we're gonna need valves, solenoid valves. These little pieces of junk are pretty useful. They block any liquid that goes through them, but when voltage is applied, they fuck out of the way and let the liquid pass. So if we take one of those valves, stick it onto a bottle cap, and pump it with voltage, with like an electronic circuit, it should empty the bottle. Nice. Now that was a great first try, but it wasn't perfect. Mostly because I'm still using my thumb to press on a fucking button. And I don't want to be doing that. I want to be hands-free drinking. So to do that, we have to find a way to sense when the cup is getting close to the robot. For that, we're gonna use a proximity sensor, which activates when something is close to it and can trigger any electronic circuits, like opening the solenoid valves. So now we just have to hook it up to an Arduino, which is gonna be the brains, connected to some relays that will unload the 12 volt from the bench power supply into the solenoid valves when something gets close to the proximity sensor. As you may tell, it's right above the electronics, so if anything goes wrong, I will die. And here's the baby. So we just have to place in the glass under the solenoid valves. And just like that, it's gonna fill it up and make me a delicious cocktail, which will give me cancer because alcohol is bad for you. And at some point, it should stop anytime now. Anytime now. I think I forgot how to, I forgot to code the part for it to stop. And now it stops by itself, which means I have the perfect robot that will give me a dose of alcohol, enough to destroy my liver, but not enough to flood my table. And that's exactly what I want. So I have... Give me a second. Hello.
Take turns.
Oh, hey guys, you still coming over tonight?
For sure.
I got drinks covered, don't worry. You're fine with gin tonic, right?
I want a vodka tonic. I don't like it.
I want a screwdriver. I want something else. Do you have cum?
Weeks of work going down the drain. I can't believe I've done it all in vain. How can I comfort everyone in their alcoholic fever if every single one of them is picky about how to kill their liver? I need more choice to create more combinations. But there's no way it can match my aesthetical ambitions. Unless, yes, that's it.
Rotation. It's always been about rotation. If instead of 2 balls, I take 6, put them around the central axis and rotate them above the glass, I can then unload liquid and make at least 1, 2, 3 million different cocktails. This way, everyone will be happy. Now that's a dangerous idea because it would render any bartender completely obsolete. It would make so many people jobless. Fuck yeah! And there's no way it already exists, right? Well, apparently there is a way. It already exists. Hey, it already exists!
And it's 11,000 pounds.
11,000. Why is it so expensive? And why does it look like this?
And why does it look like this?
So we're obviously going to move away from the whole lazy millionaire, Star Trek trash can kind of vibe and make it much more aesthetical, much more pleasing for the eyes and for the brains. I'm thinking a large tripod-style base with a shaft coming out of it, and as we discussed, the bottles around it, and the whole thing rotating. Already kind of cool. But I'm thinking to tape all the electronics on the side of it to look low-tech, kind of Star Trek trash can kind of vibe. So to start off this little puppy of engineering, we need the base. Well, nothing simpler. Drive to the middle of fucking nowhere to attend a garage sale. Run out of gas, try to babble a couple of Italian words to negotiate the furniture for half the price, and steal a bunch of Italian soil to grow an actual Parmesan tree. So we now have this absolutely wonderful piece of craftsmanship. Look at the details. Look at the quality of the metal, the curves. It's making me feel things I've never felt before. So it's time to deface it with low-level electronics. And we're gonna start with how the machine detects the glass, because a proximity sensor is so washed. So we're gonna use a weight sensor. Now this device is prettier, but it also allows us to use a little principle called redundancy. Now you might be thinking,
Terrence, what the fuck is redundancy?
and that's a good question. Redundancy is when you want multiple times the same capability or information to make sure something works properly. In our case, we're gonna wait to see that the solenoid valve is done emptying, check that, and then check for the weight to make sure that it doesn't change anymore. That will prevent us from watering the electronics with a shit ton of alcohol.
And then it's time for the rotating shaft. So we put a ball bearing inside for the rotation and push the shaft in against its will. And then I use very advanced tools to create the holding system.
No, I have blisters from twisting metal wire and burns from a hot glue gun.
Oh, okay. So this must be the part where I used very advanced tools, right?
Nope, still using caveman technology. I'm melting metal and putting it on other metal, and it does electricity, somehow. Now that's a pretty robot, but it's not functional yet, because it's missing one crucial piece. And that's code. But don't worry, it's gonna be fast. Oh, my sweet little child, are you hungry for some code? Well, don't worry, Daddy's gonna feed you. Now I see you worrying already, but don't worry, this is code we're talking about. It's simple and streamlined. So we got those 4 classes that are gonna talk to each other. The bartender bot, the audio manager, the LED handler, and the motor controller. They all have distinct functions and are gonna talk to each other to make the whole thing work together. Like the bartender bot, which is gonna take care of the organization of the whole thing. The audio manager... Wait a minute! Why do we have an audio manager? It's voice controlled, which means you can ask whatever you want through this microphone and the robot will understand it and make it for you, which is crazy. But because I need to make every bartender jobless, I made it respond to you as well. And it's just as misogynistic and unfunny as the real deal. So I recorded some lines. Now let's own the house and drink fast. Jesus is watching. You wouldn't want him to think you're a pussy, would you? I then took those lines, put them in a software to turn my disgusting nasty voice into a deep soothing one. A voice that would lure you into a false sense of safety and friendliness. So we're just gonna choose a voice, no, not soothing. Oh yes, this is great. And there's no way it's gonna backfire, right? Ah, shit. This is gonna sound amazing. And diversify the audience.
Now let's own the house and drink fast. Jesus is watching. You wouldn't want him to think you're a pussy, would you?
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's go back to coding, shall we? The bartender bot is gonna talk to the weight sensor to check if there's a glass. Then it's gonna tell the audio manager to record the user's voice after a short introduction.
Can I get you a drink? And then I'll get you something to eat.
The bartender bot is then gonna take that recording and send it over to an API that's gonna turn it into text. When it receives that text from the API, it sends it over to another API that's going to process that request and give us the delicious cocktail recipe. Then I made this little table, which pairs every alcohol that I have on the machine to a degree of the motor. The motor controller is then gonna interpret the recipe and turn to the right bottle, unload the liquid, and turn to the next one, until we have a perfect cocktail. Now the solenoid valve code is located on another microcontroller, because there's the rotation, and we can't have wires going from the bottom to the top without tangling. So we're going to wirelessly send a request from the base microcontroller to the top microcontroller to unload the bottles. And the LED handler is just here to make the whole thing pretty. Now I introduced the whole thing saying it was simple. Not sure about that. And now we just have to take the bottles and put them in the machine. But that's not gonna work, because I lied to you earlier in the video. We need one more adjustment. You remember this clip? Well, it didn't go as smoothly as I showed you. I had to drill the bottom of the bottle to make the liquid pass smoothly. And there's a reason to this, but I'm not qualified enough to tell you. So I got someone to do it for me.
That's because when liquid leaves the bottle, its internal pressure needs to readjust itself by sucking air in. But if there's only one hole, liquid going out is going to fight with air going in, and nothing moves. So I saved the project by piercing a second hole at the bottom of the bottle to make the bottle breathe. I learned it at NASA. Not regular job, not regular school, NASA. I worked at NASA.
What can I get you?
I'll take a gin and juice and add a bit of vodka into this.
One drink coming right up with no GHB this time.
That's gin. That's juice. And that's vodka. It's fucking worked. Gin, juice, and vodka, my favorite fucking drink. Oh. But let's see what a real alcoholic has to say about it.
I want a vodka and juice.
Coming right up.
Is it supposed to do that?
This is juice everywhere.
Is that all you want? I can give you so much more.
Why is it not going inside?
I messed up the angles.
Well,
All right, and we have a special promotion. You get my phone number with that. I can do that for you. Are you single?
yeah.
No! Terry, get off!
Tell me what you want, and then I'll tell you what I want.
Pour me fucking vodka and juice.
I can do that for you. Are you single?
No.
Hell yeah. Show him what...
Good, Harry, good.
That's the first step.
Hallelujah.
Drink responsibly.